Welcome to SmithWeekly Discussions, an occasional program for our members of SmithWeekly Research. Please note this program is a private discussion and everything contained herein is for entertainment and educational purposes only. With that, we hope you're in a comfortable position, along with your favorite beverage, to enjoy the discussion. We remind our audience to examine our show notes attached to each of our shows to better understand how our program functions. Before we get into our discussion today, we want to say thanks for questions coming from our audience at SmithWeekly, including Matt S., Gabe F., and Joe G. On the program today is a new guest. Michael Wood has joined us. Michael is the executive chairman of Sendero Resources, an Argentina-focused copper and gold explorer that has exploration grounds in the Vicuña Copper Gold District, which straddles the border of northern Argentina and Chile. The company's exploration grounds are nearby some significant projects, such as Casarones mine, which is operating, and then also development projects at Los Helados and also Josemaria. Sendero Resources is listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol SEND. Michael, thank you for coming on the program. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. No, great to be here.
Absolutely, Michael. It's good to chat with you. And why don't we just kick things off as we typically do on new companies and new guests with just you giving us your resume, background, and experience in this junior natural resource sector.
Yeah, sure. No, it's something I've been in for about 10 years now, Andrew, and started out in Asia, bringing out companies, junior resource companies, marketing and raising capital, and then moved into the asset ownership side. First deal in 2016, a nickel deposit in Asia, and then did a deal with Mag Silver, which is quite a well-known darling of the exploration sector, created a company called Reyna Silver back in 2018, which went public in 2020. Now had a number of junior companies gone onto the TSXV, and Sendero is the latest and a very exciting company. You know, like you touched on, we're in the Vicuña district, which is arguably the hottest copper exploration district in the world right now. Some major discoveries, and very excited to get this company out into the public domain. It's been something we've been working on privately since March 2021, so 2.5 years. Excited now to be a public company and have the money to go and do extensive initial exploration drilling on the property.
Michael, well, thank you for that. And yes, it's absolutely a very interesting region there, and some of the discoveries over the past few years have just been quite impressive, tremendous scale as well. But before we get into the company, why don't we just get just your thoughts on, how you look at this gold copper market at this point. These are the two areas in which you guys are focused on. So obviously gold quite relevant, copper quite relevant, but just your understanding of that market. Obviously the company is exploration stage, and the gold and copper market, has a limited impact in the shadow of a good discovery, but it's also important to establish a view of supply and demand and the challenges really within the sector. What are your thoughts on gold and copper at this point?
Yeah, sure, Andrew. And I think it's increasingly becoming a combination that companies want to have both of. You look at Barrick, they're the second biggest gold miner, very vocally trying to and actively trying to increase their copper production. They already have reasonable copper production. And then after the merger with Newcrest, Newmont now openly saying they want to increase copper production as well. So I think companies feel it's kind of a natural hedge. You have Dr. Copper when times are booming, and then you have gold for more kind of volatile and depressed times. And both are good margin metals to be mining, and both need quite a lot of expertise. So, I think if you look at the copper market, there's definitely pretty strong conviction that probably later in this decade, I don't think yet, we're going to have a supply crunch. There's been massive underinvestment. There's growing demand from multiple sources for copper, and the supply is falling. And some new mines have come online and are coming online this year and next. But after that, the pipeline is very thin. And I think most experts in the sector are predicting kind of the latter part of this decade, there could be a substantial supply crunch in copper. And as people in the sector know, you can't just turn on supply in a matter of years. It takes, particularly for copper mines, which are generally of a large scale, the best part of 10 or 20 years to make a major discovery and bring it online. So it's definitely a sector I think the miners are getting more conviction in longer term that it will be a very profitable metal to mine. BHP as well, like we touched on the big gold miners, but BHP, the biggest miner in the world, is also very actively trying to increase copper production. So it's definitely something in vogue, and I think has a great decade or two ahead of it. And then gold is very different, right? And it's definitely had a very good few years. It's held up very well, I think, over the course of 2023. And we had a tough period. We've had a nice bounce the last couple of days, and that the miners are making good money, even 1850, 1860, good margins being made, and with the potential that the metal could run heavily at any point. Really, I think increasingly people are looking back at gold miners and really feeling this is a very good entry point to be getting into some good quality names. So yeah, it's been a challenging kind of year and a half, 2 years for particularly the junior end of the market. But I think we're looking at a better period coming up. Maybe not quite yet, but I'm pretty optimistic. First half of 2024, the market will be a lot better than it has been.
Yeah, it's definitely a long slog, requires patience. Time is always a issue, and of course, capital solvency and all those other things really play into it, Michael. But I'm in the same camp that definitely we have very good conditions to see gold and copper go higher. The question, of course, is when. There's going to be opportunities along the way because obviously good discovery still gets rewarded, even in a bad sentiment environment like we've seen over the last year and a half or so. And then, of course, just that mining is difficult, Michael. It's just difficult to do. And cost escalations over the last few years, even some of the best have been unable to keep their costs down just because of escalation of materials and good technical expertise. And with any comments there, I just want to jump also just into the company and just get a quick overview of Sendero Resources, and then let's get into some specifics.
Maybe just before we jump into Sendero, yeah, I think you're increasingly seeing the floor under the gold price is because there's increasing demand for gold as an actual transactional metal. I.e., people are using it more and more as a currency globally, and I think we'll see that continue as people look to de-dollarize over the coming years. Gold is the ultimate kind of uh, neutral counterparty object that people are happy to no counterparty risk that people are happy to transact in. And I think that's why we've kind of seen very solid gold price. And if you look at the economic conditions and treasury yields of 4 or 5%, you would have assumed, and with good real yields, you would assume that the gold price would have really collapsed, and it hasn't. And I think we're increasingly seeing that it's coming back to be a monetary metal as it has been throughout most of human history. But yeah, 50% of gold mined every year goes just to jewelry production as well. I think a lot of people forget that. There's a lot of actual physical demand for gold as well. So yeah, it's definitely a positive setup for gold, I think, right now. And the technicals look quite good as well. If we can get back up above the kind of 200-day moving average, then it could have a good run. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting entry point. So I think with that, Andrew, yeah, let me move on to Sendero. And I think we're blessed that we definitely have both gold and copper on the property, and silver. We expect there'll be a reasonable silver deposit, which is also a great kicker. We can. I think most people in the sector understand the supply dynamics with silver. Also, like copper, almost certainly major deficits coming. I mean, there are currently deficits, and I think they'll get worse over the coming years. So it's a beautiful geological setup that we have, and we're on what's now called the Vicuña Belt. So the whole area between India and Maricunga, the two of the biggest copper belts in the world, is formerly being defined as the Vicuña District. We've got ATEX Resources down in the southern part, down there, out India, doing some great exploration. But in the northern part, it's mainly the Lundin group of companies that have done all the exploration and made amazing discoveries. Villa del Sol, Josemaria, Los Helados, Porter Cliffs, the new one this year. And I'm sure they'll discover plenty more deposits as well due to the nature of geology. And we're very fortunate to have a nice land package on this Vicuña Belt. 120 square kilometers, a sizable land package that was put together by our CEO, Hernan Vera, who's had a very esteemed mining career in Argentina. He ran Anglo Gold Ashanti, Yamana Gold, Barrick Gold in Argentina, built 3 major mines in Argentina, oversaw the production of millions of ounces of gold. He put together this land package on the Vicuña Belt over the course of 2018 and 2019. And then we formed Sendero with him in March 2021. The nature of the geology, Andrew, is kind of unique. It's what's described as a telescoped porphyry cluster. So all the Lundin discoveries, Filo del Sol, Josemaria, Los Helados, etc., they're all these telescoped porphyry systems. And it basically means you've got a mixture of an epithermal system and a porphyry into one. The classic geological model, the epithermal, is multiple hundred meters above a porphyry if it hasn't been eroded. But what we found in this Vicuña Belt is that you've had rapid erosion and rapid uplift at the same time, bringing the epithermal system down and the porphyry system up, and they've merged into one ore body. It's very unique and very distinctive, and it's produced monster ore bodies of great grade. And that's the excitement in Vicuña, and we're on that belt, and we have the same geological indicators as the major discoveries. A lot of it is surface work, but at one of our targets that was extensively drilled in the 1990s by Eldorado Gold, we can confirm that that's a telescope system. They did about 9,500 meters of drilling, mainly into the epithermal system at the top, but were consistently hitting porphyry mineralization below the epithermal. And we already can categorically say that that's a telescope system. And we expect that most of the deposits on our property will be telescoped, if not all. That's the nature of the geology on the belt, which is quite unique and really very exciting geologically. And the whole area, just to go back, Andrew, a little bit further, it was perceived as a gap. So people weren't really exploring in great deal. And the Lundin group of companies have done amazing geology and shown that it's not a gap. And it could well be the source of a lot of copper production coming over the coming decades. So, very exciting location that we're in, and also very exciting geology that we've already discovered.
Michael, so I want to come back to the project specifically in a moment and get your take on what the next plans are, next steps to move this forward now that the company's listed and live. But why don't we just talk briefly capital structure, Michael? Give the audience a view here in terms of the cash on hand now, how far down the road that gets the company in terms of its goals here on exploration, initial exploration work, and testing some of those targets, and then also just shares outstanding with that management board ownership and the major shareholders.
Look, we're coming out with 65.4 million shares on issue. The capital was raised at 20 cents, which gives us a market cap of 13 million Canadian dollars. We have 33%, so a third of the company is owned by insiders. So a strong proportion owned by insiders. And we have a number of institutions come in as well and supported us in this initial financing. We raised just under $6 million, just at 5.9 million Canadian dollars. And our initial drill budget for this coming season is $2.9 million US dollars, which is about 3.9 Canadian. So, we're coming out post listing with a little bit under 5 million Canadian in the bank. So, we've got a nice buffer to go and do the work we want to do, initially test these telescope systems with drilling, and still have a bit of a buffer capital-wise, allow us to do some good marketing of this new story as well. So, we're very happy with the capital raise. We wanted to raise a minimum of 4, and came in just under 6, so well oversubscribed, and some great shareholders came in who know the area and I think will be very supportive. They've been investors in the major discoveries in the area, which are all now billion-dollar plus companies. To give you some perspective, every other target on the Vicuña Belt, the former Vicuña Belt, is in the Lundin group of companies, NGEx, Filo Mining, and Lundin Mining, and they're all billion-dollar plus companies. So, we're coming out the gate at a fraction of that and have great potential upside.
And also just cover off the overall ownership of the shares at this point and any major shareholders that you can mention.
A third of the company is with insiders, and then we have about 22% institutions, and quite a few of the major exploration funds have come in, Commodity Discovery Fund, Terra Capital, a number of the small cap funds in Canada. So, some good institutional supporters that are very familiar with exploration stories and very excited about what we're doing and the deal, right? I think, it's in a less depressed market. I think the pricing of our go public financing would have been a lot higher, but we had to go at a reasonably low price from our view of what we have just to get that initial capital to go drill. So I think a lot of the shareholders understood that and helped us be substantially oversubscribed in our IPO financing.
it's a tough market condition. With that, why don't we just talk briefly about some of the people on the team at the company? Anyone that you'd like to highlight, and maybe some of the skills that they bring to the table?
Yeah, and there's two main people who are really world class in what they do. One is David Royal, who's our chief technical advisor. He is a phenomenal exploration geologist, multiple world class discoveries. Most people will never make one. David has a whole resume of major discoveries to his name. Cerro Negro, I think the most valuable transaction ever in Argentina, $3.4 billion it was sold for. He was part of the initial exploration team of Escondida, the biggest copper mine in the world. He really is one of the preeminent porphyry experts who's active in the world today, and also great experience in the Andes. So, we were talking to a few technical advisors, and David really stood out and immediately loved the project as well. He knew the district, he knew the potential, and great to have David as our chief technical advisor overseeing the exploration. And then secondly, Hernan Vera, who's our CEO and the property vendor. Hernan, ran three major companies in Argentina, built three major mines in Argentina. He's a mining engineer by background. He also operated mines in Africa before, in Nevada. Had a very esteemed mining career, and he bought these claims, put them together, and has a great reputation in Argentina, and really has helped us also attract great talent in country. Our geological staff, I think, is exceptional, and we have great relations with contractors as well. We got our preferred drill contractor, a local San Juan drill contractor who's drilled in Vicuña extensively, and great to be able to tie that up. I think helps again ties back into Hernan and his relationships in the country. So for a junior company, to have people like this, David, going back to Dave, he worked at the majors as well. He worked at Newcrest, he worked at Newmont, he worked at what was Mount Isna Mines, which became part of Glencore. At the time, Mount Isna Mines was one of the biggest mining companies in the world before going off and being a consultant. So to have people of that pedigree, David and Hernan, in such a small company is pretty rare, and I think really kind of ties back to the potential of the land package that we have, that we've been able to have them, and they're interested in functioning in the junior end of the market.
Let's talk about the project focus and plans here, but the company holds about 120 square kilometers of grounds, 100% owned. The Piñas Negras property, which has a number of specific project target areas covering that area. Talk about the project and talk about where it's situated, and then also give us a flavor for infrastructure that is in nearby the area. Obviously, we've got some very large development projects nearby. Talk about some of those existing projects and where this fits in, and just give us kind of the bigger view first, and then we'll get into some of the initial plans.
We're basically 10 kilometers from Casarones, which is an operating mine operated by the Japanese, and the Lundin Group actually bought majority stake last year for $1 billion. That's basically 10 kilometers northwest of us. We have Los Helados, one of the Lundin Group discoveries, basically about 10 kilometers west, and then Josemaria about 10 kilometers southwest. All around us on the trend, we have these. Filo del Sol, the most famous discovery on the belt, almost $3 billion valuation on the discovery story, is about 25 kilometers south west of us as well. So that Casarones operating mine, I think we will find, let's see how these, particularly Josemaria and Filo del Sol, advance over the next kind of 6-12 months, but at least one more mine built, I believe, construction announcement coming imminently for the second mine in the district, and I think there'll be multiple mines built. But we've definitely benefited from that infrastructure. There's a lot of access roads up to our property that we share with them, and really it's a case where previously this was a gap, now it's becoming an area, a major area of activity, and I think it's a case of we don't necessarily need to discover enough to build a mine. We could easily just convey ore over if it comes to that. But the targets we have, we believe, are world class. I think we could be a standalone project in its own right, but it definitely benefits an exploration project like ours, knowing that there's going to probably be two mines, both within about 10 kilometers of the border of our property.
It's in a good spot. The land package is large, and it's just going to take capital to determine what's there. And I think that everybody understands that there's definitely going to be something there. It's just a matter of time and capital, and obviously punching those holes in the right places, right? So really well placed and a lot of ground there. Just overall, what is the initial target area focus? You got some project names here within the land package. Just talk about the overall focus in terms of what you guys plan to be accomplished. You have this drill program coming up. Talk about how you guys identified some of those targets and really what you'd like to complete, say, over the next 6 months or so, and what news items you see coming, because obviously once you guys get past this drill program, you'll have some results and there'll be obviously the need to come back to the market and finance. Just talk about overall the plans, say, over the next 6 months at the projects.
Look, our key objective is drill results to show grade and width on these identified targets. But I think if we just take a step back, we've benefited a lot from the exploration in the district. We've copied the same approach that has been used for these major discoveries, and we're finding the same things. We've got the same host rocks, we've got the same structural controls, we've got the same alterations, we've got the same style of mineralization, we've got the same geochemistry, we've got the same geophysics. Literally everything we've ticked off that we wanted to see, and we're ready to drill in multiple locations. So we already have 8 major targets on the property. We already have a cluster of targets, but we're going to initially test 3 in this initial drilling, which is going to be 4,500 meters of drilling. And really these initial 3 targets have been selected for 2 primary purposes. One, where we'll start La Peña, is a major outcropping diorite porphyry. Now, to give some context, it's very, very rare to find an outcropping porphyry system. Usually they're multiple 100 meters deep. Now, what we found here at La Peña is we basically have a mini mountain, large hill, let's call it. It's about 300 meters high. The whole top of that is an outcropping diorite porphyry system. It's about 600 meters by 800 meters at surface. Our ground magnetics indicate it's about 800 meters to 1.1 kilometers deep. It's a very, very obvious drill target. It has the same structural controls as the major discoveries in the area. It has a beautiful bullseye magnetic anomaly. It has beautiful potassic alteration, outcropping at surface again. It literally has everything, ticks all the boxes. So this is our number 1 target. This is where we'll start drilling, and we'll put 2 initial 500-meter holes into this. So this is a really substantial deposit, but this is up on the northeastern part of the property. Now, what we have down in the southern part of the property, and what we call Sendero South and Tamborillas, is a clustering of these most likely telescope porphyry systems. We have combinations of porphyry mineralization and epithermal mineralization, which we expect once we drill will confirm that they're telescoped. And what we want to show, these 2 target areas, Sendero South and Tamborillas, are in a big circular structure, which is an eruptive volcano, we believe. It's about a 3-kilometer diameter circle. And we want to start to show that this whole area is a cluster swarm of these porphyries. And if we can show reasonable grade, it's potentially massive. So we want to start to test that in this initial drilling. Now, in Tamborillas, again, we have an outcropping diorite porphyry. Again, we have literally porphyry mineralization outcropping at surface. In Sendero South, there's a bit of cover. The ground magnetics that we have there and the aeromagnetics, we have ground and aeromag, indicate the porphyry centers are probably in the region kind of 80 to 100 meters from surface starting. So again, relatively high level. So these are the 3 main targets we want to drill test, and really ticking all the boxes, indicating that they're major porphyry, probably telescope porphyries, and we want to drill them for grade, right? And I think we have, so many targets. We really want to focus in. The market is obviously very focused on grade. Understand where the higher grade is, but also like if this whole clustering event, we can sort of show that all good grade. I mean, that is a potential phenomenal discovery. To be getting a clustering in such a big structure is really exciting geologically. So they're the 3 main targets we want to initially test. We have other targets that we're advancing as well. To give some context, the majority of the historic drilling was another target called La Agita. This is just slightly north of that circular erodive volcano structure. That's a confirmed telescope system. Eldorado Gold drilled it between 1995 and 1997. They did just under 9,500 meters, predominantly focused on the epithermal system, but were consistently hitting porphyry mineralization below the epithermal. And they got some pretty good intercepts. And if you have a look in today's market, I think they'll be very well received. And this system is open in all directions, literally in all directions. And we definitely want to look to expand that. But initially, that's not the priority in this drilling. We with this initial 4,500 meters, we want to test those three priority targets. But Laogita is a great target that will be advanced. We have Cerverding North as well, which again has the same everything, the whole checklist, the same host rocks, structural controls, alteration, blah blah blah, big magnetic anomaly. So again, that's a beautiful target that we will get to. And so yeah, it's a case initially we want to drill, show the market good grade and width from these targets, hopefully start to open up this whole clustering event down in the southern part of the property, and then I think the company will be really in great shape going forward with great access to capital and a substantially higher share price.
Michael, I think it makes a lot of sense to really study hard, the nearby deposits and obviously the exploration programs that have been ongoing there over the last couple of years, dial in and hopefully make really efficient those drill dollars that are going to go in the ground. That makes just a lot of sense to take that approach. Now, with the schedule, just with respect to, and a good idea of what we can expect coming down here, but just on schedule, when is the program expected to kick off, get completed, and then when do you think you'll start to see some of those initial news releases come out with some of the results?
Yeah, so we're opening up the camp actually next Monday on October 16th. The snow is basically mounted now, so we can go up to the property. And then we've got the geophysical contractor coming in October the 20th. They're going to do detailed ground magnetics, a very tight 50-meter spacing across those main lines and some IP as well. And then we're going to start drilling basically straight after Christmas. First week or two of January is scheduled for the rig to start turning. Production is estimated to be about 1,200 meters a month. So give us a good window, quite comfortable to drill at least until the end of April up there. That's the kind of season that we have before the snow potentially starts coming in. And then hopefully, get some initial results out by PDAC is what I'm hoping, Andrew. If we can start the returning first or second week of January, I think by the end of February, hopefully we can have some initial results. I think we're very keen to get initial results out ASAP and show people that we have these great targets and here's the assay results from them as well. So definitely want to get them out. And I think end of February is realistic for initial drill results.
Very well. That sounds like it's good timing. And I think we have a good idea of what the plan is here on the projects and what we can expect over here, call it over the next 6 months or so. Just to zoom out a little bit, just talk about Argentina from a jurisdictional and risk standpoint. The economy there is certainly one that needs significant overhaul, and mining should be a very important component of that overhaul. But how do you see Argentina today broadly, and then just also from a junior explorer standpoint, because you guys aren't immediately subject to permit risk and stuff like this because you're doing exploration work, but overall, just talk about Argentina and how comfortable you are in the country.
Yeah, no, Andrew, and it's a great topic, and it's very topical as well. There's a very big election coming up in Argentina on the 22nd of October, where the expectation is that Milei will win, and he's would be a big change. He wants to get rid of the Argentinian peso, get rid of the central bank, get rid of a lot of the government spending, drastic change to the economy. Now, I think a big issue with Argentina has been the currency, has been the capital controls. So if they do revert to US dollars, and basically already, Andrew, to give some context, nobody wants to get paid in pesos. The economy, which was already quite dollarized, that has escalated rapidly over the last couple of months since Milei won the runoff, and he's also pro business, and I think the current government is the Peronist party that have been the socialist side of things. They're definitely going to lose. I think that's pretty cemented. It's just whether it be Milei or traditional pro-business government. But it seems it will be Milei, and he's very pro-mining, and he knows that Argentina has so much mining potential, and mainly in two areas like lithium and then copper gold. And there's some already big copper gold deposits sitting there, Taka, all the Lundin ones, First Quantum one. Glencore have a big project as well. There's some great deposits already kind of ready to be put into production, but they're sitting there, question marks, why they're not getting into production. So I think it really needs a pro-business, pro-mining government to push this stuff along. And like you say, we're right at the beginning of an exploration journey. We're nowhere near that permitting for mine construction, which is kind of the big hurdle that companies need to overcome. But these projects are in the hands of the world's biggest mining companies, Glencore, First Quantum, Barrick, etc. So it's something that I think we will see advance substantially under the new government. The development of these big copper gold projects, more development of lithium projects, more exploration dollars coming in. And to give you an idea already that the local governments realize that they need to be more pro-business and they need to be attracting foreign capital, definitely. And I think that's something that could substantially boom if we do see, Millei's policies come in and it literally becomes a US dollar economy. I think you could see a lot of foreign direct investment potentially led by the US going into Argentina, and I think mining will be it's one of the most obvious beneficiaries of that, and I think it will be. So I think actually we're coming at a great time. I mean, let's see what the result of the election is. But if these policies do come through within the next kind of 2 or 3 months after Milei comes to power, then I think we could really be riding the crest of that opening up of Argentina, opening up of business, opening up of foreign direct investment and mining. So yeah, it's a fascinating place, Andrew. I mean, I was there last week. It's a sad state of affairs right now. It was a grand country. At the beginning of the 1900s, it was on the rise with the US to challenge the European powers, and it's all gone dramatically wrong. And it's a fascinating case study. Very educated people, great natural resources, but it's all gone dramatically wrong. So it'll be great to see if what's going to happen. Hopefully they can turn it around over the coming decades, and it could be a great time to be investing in the country.
Appreciate your insights on that, Michael. And it's sad to see governments and policies destroy countries and societies and people. It really is sad. And of course, we're seeing that in a lot of places around the world. Some really, really stupid mistakes, silly things that are happening that the history books have already warned us on many times, and that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out some of these policies, what works, what doesn't work. Free markets, just overall freedom tends to be the better way to go here. But Argentina, certainly, I think that there's some good potential. Having mining as the backbone for wealth generation, I think is absolutely important because it does so much for the country, for the local community. And I suppose just with that community work, anything just on that front that you'd like to mention on community work that you're doing at the local levels on fronts, such as new training, skills development of the local workforce, and then also just utilization of local service providers.
Yeah, both, and that's definitely something that Hernan is very passionate about. He's a proud local Argentinian from the area. So Hernan's from San Juan, and to give context, we're actually in the state of Larioca, so they border each other. Larioca is one of the poorest states in Argentina, and we got a good relationship from the governor down, actively hiring local people from the state, which he is very keen on, looking to get contract. It's still a bit early for us to be doing, but helping them focus to get mining contractors into the province and really develop mining. And they're very keen. They have good lithium potential as well in a district further north from us. And where we are, they have a big slice of this Vicuña Belt, which is probably the hottest exploration district in the world right now. So it's great to actually be helping, and they're very receptive, particularly to Hernan, who they respect greatly. His guidance on how they can develop mining in their state and how they can create jobs and companies and government revenues from that. So yeah, it's great to see, and the people are so grateful for the jobs. They're very hardworking. We have a local geologist now on the staff. We have a lot of local helpers from the area. We've hired students from the local university to help out as well, geological students, and everybody is really grateful for the opportunity, which is great to see. Is a nice feeling that you're helping these people and they have great gratitude for the opportunity.
Appreciate the efforts on that front, and obviously you guys as a smaller explorer, there's only so much you can do, which that could potentially grow as success comes out there. And appreciate you sharing some of those views on that and some of your work of just good business practices is what I like to consider it as. Nothing new. I think reasonable people and reasonable companies come out and provide a good opportunity for local folks and local utilization and those various efforts that we think definitely make sense. Michael, just on another note, just talk about the plans for, you guys are newly listed on the TSXV, additional listings, maybe such as US OTC, call it QBQX type listing there. Is that something in the cards, say, over the next year to get accomplished? And then just talk about getting the word out about this company in the coming months.
Yeah, firstly, yeah, definitely we're starting the OTC listing already. You can't start it until you trade on the TSXV, but definitely want to get that up ASAP. So US investors can buy in US dollars, and then in their 401ks, etc. If they want to. So yeah, that's in the works already, Andrew. And then yeah, we're a new company. I really want to get the word out far and wide. We have a great story to tell, and uh, I want everybody to hear about it and get the opportunity to get in at this early stage. So yeah, extensive marketing really coming up around the world. I just did 2 weeks in Canada. I'll go to Europe. I'm going to go to Australia and do a lot of these online webinars as well, getting the word out about Sendero and the opportunity that we're presenting to investors.
Well, Michael, thank you for taking the time here to introduce us to the company. Why don't we leave it there for now on this program? But for potential investors who are listening in, Sendero Resources has a market capitalization of about 13 million Canadian dollars. Why should the company be considered within the institutional, family office, and retail investors' portfolio?
Exploration offers massive potential returns. If you look at all the companies under Bikuni, about they're $1 billion plus. So from 10 million to a billion, okay, there's going to be some dilution, but you're looking at massive multiples on exploration success. So it's not obviously risk-free exploration, but it's definitely a case where entry at this point could offer a very large return to investors. So people that are educated and understand the risk of exploration, I think definitely should be looking at the company at this point.
And Michael, the best way for interested parties to contact the company?
Yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is michael@senderoresources.com. We also have an info@senderoresources.com email. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We can exchange emails or jump on a call. Always very happy to talk with interested parties about the company and explain and discuss any points they might want to discuss. So yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, Michael, really appreciate it. Good to chat and discuss this new opportunity. Thank you for the time and best of luck in the coming months.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.